Hi, and welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today, I want to ask, what's stopping your competition? Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. My name is Kale Houser. Thank you for joining me today. Let's get right into it. I wanted to ask, what is stopping your competition from completely taking over? You may be a small regional type of business, like only one location in your little corner of your town or city or whatever it is, your village. You may be a larger business that kind of has that domination of your region, of your county, of whatever that is. Or you may be a big kind of national business that does business all throughout the United States, or maybe even international, right? Whatever that is for you. And I wanted to ask you, have you thought about your competition recently? Have you thought about what is keeping them from taking over us or taking over our market share or for completely edging us out of the marketplace? And this was something that came to my mind recently because I've been, had the opportunity to kind of peek into somebody's business that is actually like pretty darn phenomenal. Now, I'm not going to mention it or anything because I don't want to invite other people to take over their business. But the profit margins are amazing. The work is fairly, I don't know if not low skill is the right word, but it's fairly entry level. It doesn't require like a degree from Harvard or anything like that nature. The certification is relatively easy to get. The entry into the business is pretty low as far as the financial entry. It's not like you have to buy this $500,000 franchise fees or anything like that. And overall, it feels and seems like this very profitable business. But right now, the business owner, it's very small. And I'm sitting there going, man, if people knew what this business owner was doing and the profit margins that they were making, or at least that I'm assuming that they're making, they would take this over in a second. They would develop their own competition, right? Just like any other new product, like people develop knockoffs and cheaper ways to do it. When the Yeti cooler came out, it was amazing. This amazing product did these amazing things like, oh my gosh, a bear can't get into my cooler now and eat my meat, and the ice stays in there for 47 days, right? All this kind of stupid stuff. But then immediately the competition came like, oh, I can do a very, very similar thing to that, but for cheaper, right? Because the profit margins for Yeti were so big, theoretically, or I'm presuming that they are, but of course they had a lot of development costs and things of that nature. But Arctic came in, and then I just actually saw an ad not too long ago for another third one that's, doing even more than or cheaper than Arctic, right? They're advertising that they're cheaper than Arctic, and Arctic started advertising that they're cheaper than Yeti and all this kind of stuff. But you understand this, right? Anytime there's something in the marketplace that's out there that's, it's profitable, it's desirable, it's something that the society needs, you've got a market for it, competition will arise. It's just the nature of capitalism. Competition always comes out to do things, cheaper, easier, whatever that is, to get to the marketplace. And I wanted to ask that question, what's stopping your competition from taking over, right? What's stopping Arctic from taking over Yeti's competition? What has Yeti done to stay Yeti, to stay the top dog in the cooler industry, right? A couple things just off the top of my head. They expanded, right? They don't do just coolers. Now they're doing blankets and, chairs and all these kind of different, related kind of things, into the whole outdoor kind of motif. But what did they not do? They didn't lower their price. They're still the most expensive cooler you can get. They didn't, change their, shrink their product or anything. Instead of making the big coolers, we're now only going to make the smaller coolers, right? Like the cereal companies and a lot of the food manufacturers have done. Same price, same product, but now it's just we trimmed off a lot of the meat of it, so to speak. And then Yeti continued to build their culture, right? To build you want to be part of Yeti. It's similar, very similar to what Steve Jobs did with Apple. It's cool to own an Apple, right? That's part of the motif of an iPhone is that community and culture and how cool each other are for owning an iPhone or owning our iMac or iPad, all those types of things. He created that culture, even though it wasn't the cheapest product on the planet. So going back to what's stopping your competition from taking over, do you have something set up that is fending them off even though you've got this basically like pretty sweet deal going on of profitability and a legit business. And have you identified who is your biggest competition in your marketplace, right? Is it the pizza shop across town, or is it the pizza shop in the next county over? Like what in your marketplace is your number one competition? Because there will always be somebody more motivated, more organized, more financed, more educated, like whatever that is in your industry that makes people successful. There will always be somebody that's kind of better than you. There's people that are better than me. I have no illusions about that whatsoever. But what's keeping them from taking over, right? And why? Why is it that what is stopping them? Is it pure just dumb luck that they just don't know? They haven't discovered your little niche yet that you've blown up super profitable and you're, making your, because you haven't hit the Forbes list yet, so that you're not quite on anyone's radar. Are you relying kind of on that dumb luck, or are you doing things purposely to build, to kind of man your defenses and things to keep the competition at bay? And this is a really interesting analogy to a bully, right? To a schoolyard bully, to somebody on the playground that wants to just pick a fight because they can, and they perceive you as weak. Because what's the only way to stop a bully? Right? It's to stand up to the bully, right? If you keep giving them rope and giving them room to operate and maneuver, they're going to just keep taking advantage of you and keep beating you up. And business competition is no different. If you give other industries or your competition room to operate and room to maneuver and room to plan and scheme and do all those things to encroach on your territory, on your industry, on your marketplace, then they're just going to keep doing it until you stand up to them, right? So this is very similar to that bully. They just keep taking advantage of their opportunities. You give them an opportunity to punch you in the face, they're going to punch you in the face, right? And business is no different. If you give an opportunity to your marketplace that you're not already taking advantage of, and there's kind of a little bit of a vacuum going on over in this particular corner, somebody's going to come in and fill that vacuum. And probably it's going to be your competition because they're already, doing similar things. And you need to ask yourself, like, what phase are you in right now in your business to prevent this? Are you in a resting phase? Like maybe you just went through a big growth phase and you're like, oh, okay, man, that was exhausting. That was so much work, dealing with the lawyers and the banks and the property managers and the developers and the product design and the research, the R&D and all those types of things. Like now you're just kind of stepping back like, okay, we opened our fifth store, so we need to just kind of relax and make sure this is all running smoothly, okay? Are you actually in a shrinking? Like, holy smokes, we opened 5 stores, completely ill-prepared. The market, we didn't do our research. The market wasn't there, so now we shrunk back to 3, or we shrunk back to 2, like whatever that is, right? Are you in that shrinking, or are you on that phase of legitimately dying? Are you on the sunset cruise of your business, to where you're not investing time, capital, energy anymore? You're not investing in future leadership. You're not investing in new product development. You're not investing in marketing and advertising, all those types of things, and that you're actually legitimately dying in your business. And that could be just a pure of hey, you've been doing this for 30 years and you now want to get rid of it, and you haven't been able to find a buyer to take over because maybe it's not a viable business. Whatever that is, what phase are you in? And then why are you in that phase is an important part, right? Are there legitimate reasons? Maybe your entire town is dying, and the whole thing is just kind of, it's time to just walk away and go start somewhere new, somewhere else, like whatever that is. Or on the flip side, are you dominating? Are you in that mode of, I'm going to be the number one XYZ in my county, right? And you start there. Like, holy smokes, all right, now here we are 6 months later. You can say, boom, I am the number one XYZ in my county. What's next? Well, there's like a whole bunch of counties around me. Why don't I be the number one in this region? And then the next thing you know, you're the number, right? So this is domination mentality of how do I expand and grow so big? And again, I'm going to go back to a Grant Cardone quote of how do you get too big to fail, right? This is a harken back to the 2008 housing market crisis, and the mortgage companies and the financiers that, they came out and just said, like, this institution, just like GM back in the day too, and Ford and all those guys, these are industries that are too big to fail. And how do you, in your little niche of the world of whatever it is you do, how do you get too big to where the people around you, your community, your state, your government, whatever that is, look at you and go, you're you're too big to fail. If you fail, like this whole thing like is dead. Our society will crumble as we know it. And that's kind of what was happening back in that financial crisis, and then certainly with the auto industry a little bit further back, where the government did their bailouts and things. So how do you get the domination level so much that you're too big to fail? Like, we can't let you go out of business, pizza shop, because you're the only pizza shop in our community. And what will people do on a Friday night when they want to watch a movie with their family, right? They can't do that. We can't just all have the journals and stuff like that. Or are you in that process of spooling up for that greatness? Are you in the process of, you're seeing those opportunities? You're the one that's the competition, and you're seeing those ways to increase profitability, to increase your market share, to increase your presence in your industry. And you're in that kind of spooling up, like, okay, like, yep, these are my plans. This is what I'm going to do. This is my game plan. I'm going to hire these people to do this. I'm going to hire this agency to take care of this. I'm securing this financing. I've already scattered out my locations. Like all those types of things that go into that kind of spool up phase, to where you're going to just boom and hit the gates running and just absolutely dominate and take over that competition, right? So if you don't kind of get that understanding, you want to be that later person. You want to be that person that's out there looking to dominate and grow, not the one that's like, oh, this is great. I'm making my, whatever, $20,000 a month. I'm securing, I'm putting money in my 401k, and in 20 years, as everything goes right, I'll be able to retire and live, assuming the economy doesn't crash and the housing market doesn't go absolutely insane to where I can't even afford an apartment. That my industry doesn't go away. We don't have another global war because of all the stuff going on in Europe, blah, 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 blah. There's 1,000 things that we can worry about. So I wanted to ask you and kind of bring to the forefront of your mind as you're listening to this and thinking about your business and why you got into that business and who your competition is as you're looking around for opportunities to expand, to grow. Are you even thinking about that? Or is that just so darn scary because you're doing everything by yourself that you can't even conceive of the idea of opening a second or third or 10th location, right? Because you're so spread thin, like too much jelly on toast or too much butter on toast, right? Isn't that the saying from Lord of the Rings? Something like that. But that's what we do here at Kale Houser Leadership. We help you through that process. We help you identify those areas. We help you see those opportunities that maybe you're just not able to see, right? We are all blind to certain aspects of our life. I know I have blind spots. That's why I'm continually trying to learn and seek mentors and have those hard discussions in our life of like, hey, like, what if this happens? Or what if we do this? Like, how does that work? And, is that possible? Those types of discussions. But yeah, so I encourage you, take a look at your marketplace. Are you vulnerable? Do you have a weakness showing, in your industry, in your business that can be easily taken advantage of if people just like found out about it? Or are you operating on pure dumb luck that they don't know about it at this point? And maybe that's a blessing. You have that little bit of time to start, gathering your troops and figuring out how you can absolutely solidify and plant your place in your marketplace. All right, I hope that was beneficial. Make sure you don't lose sight of your competition. This is a capitalistic society, and we kind of thrive on that competition a little bit, right? And not so much as I want to just crush the other people. It's just like, no, I got to take care of my own people, so I got to raise up my own company, right? They're going through the same process. And if you're not, you're going to get left in the dust, and you're going to eventually get eaten one way or another. All right, guys, drop me a line. Please leave a like, comment, share. That would be phenomenal. Let me know. Maybe you've experienced this. Maybe you're like, yeah, man, I had this huge blind spot I didn't know I had, and this company XYZ came in, and before I knew it, boom, like I'm out of business and I had to completely restart. That would be a phenomenal story to share for all of us to learn from and kind of help us see the value of recognizing your blind spots. So please leave a comment or shoot me an email, kale@kalehouserleadership.com. That would be excellent. All right, guys, hope you are having a fantastic afternoon no matter where you're at in the world. Bye.